champ. The champ is here. The champ is here.
Hey.
The champ is here.
Oh.
I don't remember what episode it was, but I remember we had you on, and I think we were joking around about like not having you back on until you won. Because we were giving you pity invites, basically having you come on. But it finally freaking happened, man. It finally freaking happened. We're like 48 hours after it's happened. What's the thought process? Has it soaked in yet? Have you what were we thinking here?
I'm not, dude. I don't know. Here's the thing. I've only slept like 3 hours since since Sunday morning, and I was on a plane, so like not great. We didn't sleep at all on Sunday night. My voice is still gone from all the yelling I did on 18's basket, and it's mostly settled in at this point. I mean, there's still times when like I was just trying to make an Instagram post because I'm a little late with that, but I'm like looking through the pictures and stuff and like trying to write out like what I want to say and stuff. And like there's still times where like it'll hit me and like I'll get like a little emotional. It's like, man, I just feel like a baby, dude. It's like it's just too much, man. But yeah, I'm getting back a little bit back to normal finally.
I think we saw that true emotion kind of show tapping in on 18 there. And I think it's fair to say, flashback a few years ago, had you won, let's say like the Las Vegas challenge, right? 2 or 3 years being on tour, you go out, you shoot a hot round, you're in the mix. Had you won there, I don't think we would have saw the same emotion. I think we would have saw a little bit more of, the Ezra of the tip of the cap. Like, yeah, I almost aced the whole 5. Yep. Thank you. And it would have been kind of,
I know you hate that,
cool, calm, and collected Ezra. But I think we saw the emotion come out. And, there's some people asking, like, how do we see more of this? How do we get more of this? Well, you need to get athletes that actually care about winning and succeeding and perfecting their craft. I think that's really ultimately what it comes down to, is you want people that are putting their effort into this thing. And when they get the rewards, that is what overcomes you. And that, do you have any, like, kind of just, if you can explain, because we saw it happening right when you kind of realized, oh my gosh, I did it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So kind of walk me through like what was kind of going on with you and Judah at that point when you're on the 18th fairway.
Yeah, throughout the round, like it's impossible to not, like, every now and again jump too far and think like, oh my gosh, I could actually win this thing. So like even on Saturday that would happen every now and again, but it was pretty easy to like fight that off and be like, no, I gotta lock in, I gotta focus, I gotta still play good, win this thing. And then we get to 18's upshot, and like 17 I'd almost messed up. 16 I just went OB. I made a big putt on 15, but it's like it was, from my perspective, it was intense the whole way. Like I had to, I felt like I had to try to execute every single shot. I had no idea what scores were. I felt like I was beating my card, but I had no idea other than that, and that was just a feeling. I wasn't keeping score at all. So we get to 18, and I get out the gap, thankfully, and then I asked Jude, like what we should do, because I didn't know score. So I was like, hey man, what should we do for the shot? He just said we don't need birdie. So then at that point, then we're just kind of like, okay, let's just chunk up. Not show me crying. Come on now. Yeah. So we're like, let's just chunk a Nuco S forehand around the tree. That's like a pretty stock shot, and we'll just try to get Paul. He's like, you'll come up short, but you can just lay up the putt, and then we'll be fine. So at that point, it's like, okay, I've got to just execute one shot. And the mind's crazy, man. The mind's still like, don't freaking like wrist roll this OB, or don't throw it all into the tree. Just it's like an easy shot. Like my forehand was good all week, but those thoughts still pop in the head. So then when I got that second shot inbounds, I got the green flag, and then like when Ezra and Evan gave me fist bumps when I like picked up my disc, that's when it was like, oh my gosh, like that's it. I'm gonna actually win. And yeah, then that walk was pretty. That walk up to the final tap in was pretty crazy. Just like a lot of emotions, a lot of just thoughts going back to how long it took to get here. Oh, that was Brad. Heck yeah, that's the
Did you at a certain point were you like about to send him in flight here, like a cheerleading?
Yeah, he thought I was gonna throw him into the woods. But no, I was just. Yeah, like you said though, like if I'd have won that false like Vegas tournament where I popped off like my second year on tour. Yeah, I don't think the emotion would have been there because they wouldn't have had time to like build up to this. Sure. I I've had so many tournaments that I've obviously lost. I've lost every tournament up to this point. I've had a decent amount that were close, and yeah, it's just all that finally building up to it, and then yeah, tapping that in on 18. I wanted to just let it out and feel the moment.
Yeah, for those that don't know, because I think the commentators, when I was watching live, I think they didn't know who Judah was, which I thought was kind of shocking because
Oh, really?
he's been on your bag quite a bit.
Yeah.
But for those that
All
don't know,
22.
Judah's the kind of a caddy too that he's like he will never show really emotion, right? And so he was probably perfect in that situation of where you're like, clearly you're like, I don't want to look at scores, right? You didn't look at scores, you didn't know where you were. Obviously, you knew no one really other than Evan Smith was making a little bit of a push, but you still had him beat. And you probably, after that start, you were probably thinking, hey, it's mine to lose at this point.
Sure.
And so, like, he probably did a great job of just even keel, right? Like, just keeping you level, not being like, oh my gosh, we're like getting so close to winning. Like, just keeping it super. And like, how important is it? You know, you mentioned a little bit about calling him up and saying, like, hey, man, I need you out here. I've gotten close a couple times. I need you on the bag. Talk to me a little bit about your guys' relationship and how it meant to win it with him being on the bag.
I'm trying to get me to cry here, Brody.
No, hey, that's a good interview question. That's a good. Hey, I'm doing a good job here.
Let's go. Come on. No, it meant so much. We had to have him on the bag. I mean, he came out in 2022 and cared for me all season. My game wasn't quite as good back then, so we didn't give us as good of a chance to get a W. And man, our relationship, man. I mean, he's the person I'm the closest with. You know, we grew up together, like just super close. I mean, I think I gave him my speech impediment, unfortunately. So, like, you know, we're as close as it gets. We would compete all the time in freaking like video games on our phones and sports, golf, everything. And I think he's actually the better competitor. He was always better than me at golf. And so then to have his mentality and his mindset like that on the bag with me is a huge advantage. I mean, like you said, he's stoked the whole way. And I think he does a really good job of knowing what I want to. I don't typically talk a whole lot through my rounds. I try to just kind of stay just deadpan and locked in and focused and not let any, you know, like, that kind of sounds bad, but like positive emotion get too like riled up. Like I almost aced hole 5 and I tried to make sure I stayed low because I didn't want to get too excited and let things slip. And he does a good job of just kind of matching that energy and being there when I need him and keeping up pace with me because I do kind of walk fast and he's always right there to give me my disc. And then obviously, you know, decision making, he's fantastic at that too. He knows all about disc golf and watches shots, and he has fantastic pulse management skills. So it's a benefit to just bounce ideas off him when I need to, and just that little extra confidence boost on, you know, it's just like, oh, we got a little headwind here, also just keep on highs on, you know, just gives me a head nod and a yes. And yeah, so it's a huge help. And like I said, I think you texted me, I think it was like maybe 2 months, it might have been Kansas City. Oh no. I got top 10, so it must have been, oh my gosh, it must have been OTB Open. I think all the Champions Cup where I got 8th, and he texted me just, you know, saying congrats, like, you know, good last 2 rounds or whatever it was. And I was like, hey, heck yeah, man. I was like, I need you out here so we can get to that next level. And turns out that is what I needed.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, having a caddy that you trust on your bag is such a benefit. And I think we saw that from the 2 winners this week. We saw it with you and your brother, and then we saw it with Robbie C, actually, who you got to play with at the Creators Cup.
Yeah.
He was caddying for Cadence. And I think, you know, speculation here, but I think Robbie C now in the bag, I think Cadence had a stretch similar to yours. Yours was a little bit earlier in the round. Hers was later. And Robbie C was able to kind of help get her out of that. So I do want to talk a little bit about the round itself. But before, like leading into this tournament, was there anything that was like new that hadn't happened in a while that like you could think of that maybe helped you get in the mindset to maybe go out there and win? Was there anything out there that was different than what you've seen so far this year?
Yeah, so that is a good point. I do want to shout that out actually, because so a lot of this season, you know, just like the people that I travel with has been kind of mixed around and a little bit different and everything. And so it was really good to have Jeeves, I think, in the house with me this week. And I think Dr. Jeeves had a huge impact.
Dark Horse Dr. Jeeves in the house.
Exactly. Dark Horse Dr. Jeeves.
You know, last year is when you made a huge jump, and that's when we started seeing you kind of get more consistent. And then this year, I think you're putting all the pieces together that you've uncovered. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I would disagree with that kind of. I think almost all of the improvements that we're seeing on those stats kind of come from how bad of a season I had last year. I missed Pro Tour Championship for the first time in my career last season, which was pretty. It's just like, man, so dejecting. You know, it's yeah. The end of last season, the last like 5 months of 2-0 were just miserable. I feel like I couldn't get a decent placing. If I had a decent round, the next one or the next two would just be horrible and pull me back down. And I can remember we were up at the MVP Open, I think, staying with Adam and Anthony and Austin and Yuli and kind of that whole group. And I was kind of just talking to Yuli about it and how kind of depressing it is to play that bad. And he's like, yeah, I was like, as pros, like we need these kind of we need these seasons sometimes. Like we need these to kind of motivate us. And he's obviously a savvy vet, and what he said was true. Like I came off of that season so much more motivated to fix things in my game and make big changes that I needed to make. And it really, kind of lit a fire under my butt for how bad that season was. And so then like this last off season, it just became so much more focused. And like this season, especially, like I feel like I kind of became a student of the game again. It's pretty easy just to kind of live the seasons on like cruise control and just go through the motions and go to the next course and practice a little bit and throw the shots and kind of turn your brain off a little bit and just keep grinding it out. And this season's been so much more enjoyable to play. It's like, like finding out new parts of the game that can improve myself. Like the pre-cock with the forehand has been a huge one. It's just made it so fun to throw forehands for the last like month and a half. It's made my forehand game so much better. And that's a big reason I think why we were able to win this tournament. It's the big forehand course. And I think like the putting, like even the chalk, that was a fun thing. Backhand, I figured out how to be more consistent on backhand shots and anhydrous backhand shots with getting like the spin down and the spin right up, I guess, with my wrist. And so I've been a lot more in tune with like specific aspects like that, and just been a student of the game. That's been a huge help. And so honestly, I think that's a big reason why like we're seeing the big improvement from last season to this season.
Yeah, and I think something that's really interesting is when I play practice rounds with you, I think it's maybe changed a little bit because obviously we were doing worse shot, but in the past we
got a comment, and somebody was like, "It's like these guys aren't good enough to play wall shot triples," which I think is hilarious now because like I got the dub, Goose got sixth, you played really well the last two rounds. It's like it's just so funny when people comment stuff like that, and then. Do this.
What really hurt me, Ezra, was the first thing I thought of after shooting +8 the first round was we took all of my worst shots, and if I actually threw a good shot, we had to take Ezra's bad shot or Goose's bad shot, and we beat my score by 5. That's literally what was going through my head is I played a full 18, and anytime I threw a good shot, we couldn't take it. We had to take someone else's bad shot, and somehow we still scored better than what I just did. But the point I was making was we were and I think we're still this way when we're breaking down courses. We're trying to figure out what the best shot is, what the best shot for us is. And the biggest development I've seen with you is just the confidence. Back in 2022 or 2023, even, we would get to a hole and it seemed like you were trying to figure out what you should do. And now it's like, what you should do and you just have to execute it. And I think that's such an advantage when you are confident in the shots you're about to throw and know you can pull it off versus the other side of being like, is this a forehand or is it a turnover backhand? And now I feel like you have that. And you have this win under your belt that should give you even more confidence going forward that you are on the right path and you are doing the right thing.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think getting the win solidified it for me. I feel like I thought that I could win my entire career. Like I don't know if there was a tournament that I ever played. Even like my full season on tour, I felt like I could still win. It took a long time now. It's taken a little over 5 years to finally get it done, which is way longer than I thought it was going to. But it is nice to cement it and prove it, and the confidence is definitely a big thing for sure. And like I think my game's developed to where I can be confident in the shots and like truthfully confident. I'm not lying to myself with throwing the forehand or lying to myself with throwing the turnover backhand. Like I know I could execute the shots.
Yeah,
and then it translates to actual improvements in score.
So I had a take that I thought your first win would come from behind. I thought you were gonna be 1 or 2 shots back going into the final, 9 holes and just playing really, really well and coming from behind and winning. That was kind of, gun to my head, that's what I thought was going to happen. Here, you have the lead coming into the final round, and then you just, blitzkrieg the start of the course, shooting 5 under through the first 5, birding every single hole. You made a huge putt on one. I know you didn't love the second shot, but a great putt. It did kind of sneaky in there, but hey,
it stuck it.
We freaking take those. They count.
We do.
Then you hit the base on hole 3, which I'm sure you loved the sound of that being.
Oh my gosh, bro.
That was coming in high. We know that was coming in high, and it's just 50-50 on whether it's staying in bounds. And then you almost ace freaking hole 5. So you just have this insane start. How was that for you? Like, kind of just throw a hypothetical out there of like what happens to Ezra if he starts 2 under through 5 instead of 5 through 5, and you don't really expand on your lead. Do you see that being like a little bit more of a stressful round? Do you start pressing a little bit more?
Oh man, I don't know if I would change my game. I mean, it's hard to say. It's like I'm playing every single hole out there for birdie, so it's not like I would be like trying to play for eagle on any hole.
Sure.
I feel like I've tried to just keep it going. I mean, obviously, before the round starts, I'm thinking, I'm like, this could be the best day of my life if I win, if I play good today and win, And then I'm thinking like, well, I want to win by 6. I want to have a fantastic start, fantastic middle, and fantastic end. And I want to just absolutely obliterate. I want you the course record in the hot round. And I want it to be the easiest thing ever. And so then I start out 5 for 5, and it's like, this is literally how I imagined it. This is what I had in my head. This is perfect. And then obviously it slowed down a little bit, and then we had to make it interesting for the fans back at home and battle a little bit. But yeah, that was the dream start. Obviously, I wanted to get those birdies and to see my card mates struggle a little bit. As a competitor, you love to see it. As I'm kind of close with some of these guys, and so like on that side, it's like you can empathize with them, and it But as a competitor, no, it's like I wanted to birdie every single hole, and I wanted to see bogeys fall from everyone else.
Oh well, let's do your attributes here because it's been a while since you've been on. So let's see what your attributes are looking at. Shout out to Edwin Stats putting this together. We've got Ezra's attributes, his attributes, however you want to say it, his Madden rankings, if you will. Scoring is 94. Power is 98. Accuracy at 91. Scramble at 88. And putting at 91 gives you an overall of 93. That's a Disc Golf Pro Tour rank of number 5. Your ratings on there. Not sure why, because I don't care about ratings. And
thankfully my DGPT rank doesn't either, because 1027 doesn't really go to 5th place very often.
But yeah, there you have it. I think that's pretty solid. I mean, scramble, you get a little bit better at scramble, and you're in the 90s on everything, which is pretty rare. I think you have a pretty well. I mean, this pretty much shows. I think your game is pretty well balanced, right?
Yeah.
It
really,
top to bottom.
I mean, it really came together this week. Like even this season's been kind of up and down as far as like all that goes, because the first half of this season, my putting was the strongest part of my game by far. I think I was leading C2 putting and maybe second in C1 putting at a certain point. My putting was just nuts. And then I went to Kona Piste and it kind of just went away. And then my throwing started being really good and carrying me through. So I've actually been able to have good finishes this season, kind of with different parts of the game. Kind of carrying me through. And then this week it was nice to have the throwing locked on point still, and then the putting catch up a little bit and get back to that. I guess at 91, yeah. So
Edwin wants to know who put the stats together. He goes, how does he feel about 98 power? Does he feel he is right behind AB? AB, I believe, is the only one at 99 right now.
Yeah.
I think you gave a little fist pump on hole 15's putt. That was a tough putt. That wasn't easy.
No, that one, I was telling myself for that putt too. I was like, this might be the putt that I need to make to win.
Yeah.
I put some extra pressure on myself for that putt, and I mean, I'll do little stuff like that throughout the round too.
Yeah, we're not saying like you should be like fist pumping a birdie putt on round 1 and hole 6 and being like, like time and a place. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's interesting watching people just be like robotic out there. I don't think it's great for the fans either. I don't think fans like watching.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing too. Like when I'm walking up hole 18, it's like And I know I'd won. I was like, what am I gonna do here? Like, like I have all the crying emotions basically. Like I'm like a little baby out there, but I have those emotions welling up inside me. And I'm like, I've seen people win before. They kind of just do a little hat tip and wave. And it's like it's usually when it's like a third or fourth win or whatever. And so it's like that's a little more understandable.
Sure.
I was like, I don't know if we're gonna win my first disc golf pro tour event ever again. This is the only time I gotta do this. People say the thing of like, like act like you've been there before, kind of like play it down. I was like, bro, I've never been here before. This is my first time. I want to be excited. I'm excited, and I'm going to show that. And it seemed like it resonated well. It seemed like the fans liked it, and it was just so exciting. Everyone rushing. It was so fun. It made the experience so much better. I felt like
the act like you've been there before. I think a lot of that has to do with like team sports, where like an individual will do something and rather celebrate with his team, he's like doing a celebration by himself. I view that a lot of times as like, right. But in this situation, it's an individual thing, and you just accomplished something. It's almost like equivalent to accomplishing like running a marathon for the first time. And it's like how weird would it be for the struggles is imagine like being injured and not being able to do it and canceling and all this, and you finally do your first marathon and you just like walk to your car and get in and drive off. And you don't do any sort. I don't know. I thought it was natural. I thought it came off like, I thought it came off well personally. So if anyone's giving you a hard time for that, they can, send them my way. I'll give them a little pop. All right. This obviously was your number one goal, right? Your number one goal was to win, to get a W.
Yeah. So technically,
here we go. Technicalities. Here we go. All right.
So I can just think back to like when I was like watching Jomez like 7-8 years ago before I think decided to go pro. Or maybe like right when I decided to want to go pro. My goal was to be like that top level player where you're always in contention kind of. I think at the time it was like Paul, Ricky, Eagle, like Simon, maybe Will, Kevin, like some of those guys at the time.
Sure.
And so my goal was always to like be that player. I didn't want to be the guy who got to 10-20 and then just plateaued and then just that was their career. And it was scary for a while though, man, because like that's what happened to me basically. I got to like 10-20, 10-30, and it plateaued for a few years. And so I was like, that was my biggest fear on the sport, kind of. And then this is obviously a huge step in the right direction. And winning is obviously like, I feel like with that other goal, it's guaranteed kind of. Like if I reach the goal of being in contention all the time, it's guaranteed to get the wins. So it's obviously a huge step in the right direction, and it's massive goal though.
So your next goal is just to be more in contention regularly.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, goal. Like the season that I've had this year is pretty close to where I want to be. This game is the amount of enjoyment that I have from like top 10 versus like top 20 and walls is like night and day. And so if I'm in top 10, top 5 in contention, obviously, winning is like infinitely better than anything else, even now that I know. But being in contention and actually like, well, shots matter and like you feel that pressure and you can't fall asleep at night and like all that stress and all that stuff. That's what I kind of live for. That's what I'm out here to do. And so that's what I'm looking for. And I feel like I'm way closer than I've ever been this season for sure.